Welcome back to Underneath the Veil of Marigolds. And today I have a story time for you guys that is about my familiar. Some of you guys have asked about her, and I have not given a full description on what exactly happened to her. But those of you who do keep up with my channel know that she is no longer in my life. But there is no full explanation of what exactly happened to up until this point. So today, I'm going to tell you the morbid story of what happened to my beloved familiar. Okay, so trying to find the right spot to start this video might be the complicated part. When I left my ex, I moved in with my twin flame. And I'm still with him right now. But when I first moved initially, I was really scattered on what I needed to do because I was in a situation where I have tried to have left before, prior in the past. And this person still found me living with someone that I knew at the time, or this person happened to show up in my life at that point in time to help me out, and they knew exactly where I was because I'm not one of those people who has many friends or many connections to go to. I'm one of those people who has to literally create my own life with not much help or assistance. I never had the luxury of anyone helping me out in any sort of way besides myself, or at this point in time in my life, my partner. I've never had anyone who was willing to help me out in the ways that I would have liked, just to keep that short. So at that point in time in my life, when I left the first time, I was not able to bring my familiar. And at that point in time in my life, I was dead set on bringing her with me. But when my friend showed up in my life at that point in time, it was one of those point in times where I couldn't have been picky about changing my situation, because this was like a blessing in disguise. It was either I take it or I'm going to stay with this person that abuses me mentally and beats me down, abuses me sexually here and there, or it's either I deal with it or I fucking take this chance and leave. But I never ever wanted to leave my familiar behind. That was never my intention, but sometimes your circumstances don't work out in your favor. And that's the shittiest part of life. So at that point in time, I had to leave. Once again, I say once again because later on I'll explain once again. And it's probably not going to fit your fancy, but that's what I had to do. And I feel horrible about it, but I will get into more in depth about it later on. So the first time around, I had an opportunity to leave, and I did. My familiar, she was so unhappy. As you know, she's a gray kitty. She fucking loves the shit out of me. I love the shit out of her. I work with her, and Bostat has her blessings. But at that point in time, I couldn't take her with me because the person that my friend was staying with at the time was highly allergic to cats. So I could not take her. It was either I stayed in the abusive situation that I was in, or or I leave without her. I didn't really have a choice. My friend was like, you know what? If you can stay with us for a certain amount of time, I will help you move. I will help you pay to move in somewhere else. Whatever you need, I will help you. And I highly believe that. And to this day, if I ever needed help, I believe she would be there. And she would be like, I would help you get your cat. I do not care what it takes. I will end up in fucking jail, in prison, to get your fucking cat back. I do not care. I care about you and your happiness, which is fantastic. It's great to know that I have a friend like that. So, but at the time, I could not actually bring her with me, which was the saddest part, and I highly regret that. That situation where I moved out and I was living with my friend, my ex found out where I was staying. He stayed outside yelling and cursing and trying to get my attention to come outside. I know where you are, yada, 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 to try and get me back, saying he was going to get rid of my familiar and just throw her on the street, along Yeah, it didn't matter. He was just saying all sorts of shit to try and get my attention, whatever, how vulgar it may have been. He was trying to say these things to get my attention, to get me to come outside. So I didn't believe anything that he was saying, but at the same time, I'm living at someone else's place. I have now moved all my stuff over to someone else's residence who has neighbors and whatnot who are listening to this one person scream and yell outside in their yard, and they're probably looking out their windows like, what the fuck is going on? Is this safe? Should I call the cops? Like, what the fuck is going on? There's just like a large disruptive disturbance going on outside that is concerning. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I mean, I told her at the point in time, but at the same time, I don't think she fully grasped like how bad the situation was going to be. And I was like, no, this guy can be crazy like when he feels wronged. Some people can be. I feel crazy when I feel wronged. So I will do some crazy fucking shit if I feel wronged. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm gonna tell you some shit that I did to try and get my fucking familiar back, because I couldn't fucking take it anymore. But at this point in time, in this certain situation I'm telling you about first, I couldn't get her back. So my friend did not expect my ex-husband to go this far to try and come and get me, to come back home. She thought it wasn't necessarily that serious, but at the same time kind of serious, because she has gone through abusive situations herself with other men, which is funny because, you know, you attract your tribe. So I'm like, oh my god, almost every female I have known has been in an abusive situation with a male. Or a female. I've known other females who date other females who have been in really abusive, toxic situation with other females. And it's fucking crazy, like, how we all kind of attract each other in that sense. Yeah, he was out there for a while until she was like, no, don't go outside. Stay here. We can keep all the blinds closed. And when he's done, he's just gonna have to fucking leave. I can call the cops. Like, whatever you want to fucking do. She's like, whatever. I'm here. I don't even care. I'll stay like this the whole fucking day on lockdown if we have to. She's like, my ex has done the same thing where he found where I was and he was yelling around. He was outside stalking me, showing up at my work. And I was like, that's just fucking nuts. I was like, that's exhausting. And she dated someone who was a correctional officer. Like, this is some person who worked with the law. Like, it's fucking nuts. Like, how these people have such great face with everyone else, and then behind closed doors, they are the people who abuse you the most. So that's fucking crazy. And then a lot of the time they exclaim, they don't realize that they're doing this. Like, everything they're doing is just fine. It's not fine. Your intentions and actions towards someone else in that sort of manner are not fine. That's a psychological sort of damage, trauma, something that is going on in your head that you need to fix. You should not ever be doing that to someone else. You should not be that attached to someone else to try and control every movement of their life. That's just fucking crazy. I eventually, sadly, went back with my ex-husband because I felt like what I was doing was wrong. And if I stayed there, you know, for however long it would have taken for me to get on my feet, to get my own apartment or whatever, he would have shown up there more often than not, unless I've gotten some sort of restraining order against him. And at that point in time, I was pretty young. I think I was 21, 22, something like that. I'm not entirely sure now because I'm 31 now. I'm getting old. My memory is getting a little rough. You know, stress, everything kind of like beats you down. So your time frames for things kind of differentiate as you get a little older. But I believe it was in my early 20s. I was like 22 or something like that. I'll say 22 just cause. But that's about the age I was, and apparently my thinking in that point in time was not good enough and not clear enough to think about what exactly I need to do to try and get myself out of that situation. I was just under a lot of stress, and I did not want to move back in with my parents if that was even possible, because I don't talk to any of my family at all. My mom nor my dad's side. No cousins, no nothing, nobody. I do not have anybody in my bloodline, okay? So if anyone's going to take care of me, it's me. Or if I have a very good friend or friends, which I don't have many friends because I'm not a very likable person. I'm just going to say that now. Apparently I'm not. And I'm not a very presentable person unless I have to be. If I'm getting a job, I will fucking put a face on to get that job. And once I'm hired, I'm like, yeah, guess what, bitch? You hired that person. It's too bad. All right, we're okay. I'm already here. But at least I'm getting the job done, and I'm getting the job done very well. So you're welcome. But I'm not a very likable person. I will admit it. I'm not. It's fine. I mean, it is what it fucking is. I'm not gonna take it back. I am who I am. Okay? It was what it was at that point in time. I should have thought better about what I should have done before I left. That is on me, and it still is on me. So I went back. I eventually broke down and went back. So now at that point in time, he has that mind frame of, if I break her down enough, she'll just come back. So narcissists are usually like that. So if I break her down enough, she will just come back to me and everything will be just fine. We'll just go back to normal, blah, blah, blah. You know, that stupid bullshit. And that's kind of what we did. And then I found out that he blew all of our fucking money at the casino because we had a joint account, which is the dumbest shit ever. You should never have a fucking joint account with any fucking buddy. First off, always have your own fucking account. And if you want to have a savings account or a separate account for bills to put together, then you can transfer your own money in there. Keep it fucking separate. Don't have a fucking joint account and expect one person to handle your fucking finances like that without you knowing what the fuck is going on. You should always know what is going on with your fucking finances. It doesn't matter who the fuck you're with, male or female, can be the same mentally abusive sort of fucking prick. Now, when I say he broke me down to come back, like, mainly I was thinking about my cat, my familiar, Alia, Biddies. I have so many nicknames for her. She's the best little familiar I've ever had in my life and probably ever will. But when this was happening, I was thinking about her the whole fucking time. To me, she is my blood. She is my bloodline. Like, she's a piece of my fucking soul. So with that said, with a piece of your soul missing, you kind of feel hollow inside. Like, what's the point? I don't have anybody or anything else besides my cat, my familiar. She's the one who loved me regardless of anything that I fucking did. She was one of those cats that I would always have her dish full of food. I would give her treats like every fucking morning. Every time I came home from work, I would always cater to her because I loved her and I wanted her to be happy because she was a stray. She was at a shelter. And when we got her, she was at a shelter. And I was like, I don't want you to feel like that. I want you to feel needed and wanted at all points in your life because you matter to me. So I just couldn't fathom not being around her. I cared about her. You guys don't even know like how much I regret not keeping footage of her, of when I've gotten home and how excited she was to actually see me without being fed. Because a lot of people think cats are cold and hollow, and they're not. They are very, very loving creatures. Like, they can see right through you. So if you are not a loving person, that cat will not love you back. Cats will try to get you to earn their trust. That's how they work. They're not like dogs. Dogs will love you pretty much no matter what you fucking do. The Green River Killer had a fucking dog. But will the cat love the Green River Killer? I mean, only certain actions will tell, depending on like how, you know, your beliefs and how strong you believe and what the fuck you're doing is right or justified. But I'm saying it takes some certain somebody to earn a cat's trust. And that cat trusted me. She loved me. no matter what, she would come to me over that other person that I was with at that time. I could call her name and she would run to me. And it doesn't matter if her dish was full or empty, or if she had treats in front of her face, she would always be happy to see me. She would literally climb onto my shoulder with her face against my face and rub her little face all over mine, happy as fuck to fucking see me at the end of the day when I came home from work. That was a connection. That is what I call a strong connection. She fucking loved me. I loved her. I worked really hard to show her that she's loved and I'm not going anywhere. And then I just feel like I fucking betrayed her. It still fucking hurts me till this day. But there's nothing I can do about it now, but it hurts. So I came back at that point in time. I stayed there. I stayed with my cat. I earned her trust back, which is the shittiest part because I had to earn it back because she thought I was fucking gone. And she treated me like I was gone. Like, why did you leave me? What the fuck? And then she hear me screaming for you at the door when you're removing all your shit out. Like, why did you do that? Why didn't you take me? Oh man, it fucking hurts so bad. Just seeing that happen to her hurt me really fucking bad. I had to earn her trust back, which is a given. I can see that. If something like that happened to me and she left me, I'd be like, you know, I don't know how much I really fucking trust you to actually stick around, so you're gonna have to earn my trust back. So I stayed with this person for quite a long time after that. And we kind of settled back in. I gained her trust back. And we worked together. And it was fine. It was as good as it was gonna get. This person, like I was saying earlier, when I first came back, he blew all of our funds at the casino trying to double his income that he already did not have, because he was blowing our income in other areas that were not our finances. And he was telling me everything was okay, but at the same time I knew everything wasn't okay. I just know. I have a sense of knowing. My clairsenses are pretty fucking high. And I know when something's not right, but when I question this person would get hostile and verbally abusive and say, if you can do better, go ahead and try and do better. And I would say, yeah, sure. Show me what the fuck you're doing right now so I can, use it as a tool to try and forecast my knowledge of what we need to pay off and whatnot into my own perception, into my own way of doing it, basically, to forecast it my own way. And this person would never give me all the information that I would need, because this person really wanted that control, because they could not fathom not being in control, because they were not in control of themselves, obviously. And this person would always ask for funds from his parents, and his parents hated my fucking guts. So they always think, I'm the one who's spending all the money. So where the fuck are these fancy new things that I'm spending all the money on? I don't really have anything to fucking show for it. Your son's getting all these fucking fancy new electronics. Can't pay the fucking bills for us to have 4 walls and a roof. So every time he tries to move out on his own, we come right back living with them. It was fucked. It was always fucking fucked. And he got to a point of where we did move out and we stayed out. But he always struggled with money. He always had to get money lended from his father and his mom, his dad, whatever. At a point in time, I think his mom actually did get fed up with it. And she was like, I don't want to lend him any more of my money. But father, enabled him because he loves his son, obviously. I mean, a lot of parents will do this because they love their children and they'll enable them. They will give them money when they don't deserve the money, or if they're addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, they'll give them money to enable their habits, because they love their children and they don't want to see them suffer. But when in reality, he needed to fucking suffer. He needed to figure out his own life and learn what a struggle actually felt like. I'm one of those people who did not have an easy life growing up. I already knew what it was like to suffer, and in my eyes, from the privileged family that he came from, was not suffering or nowhere near close to it. So I have no idea like why he was so uncomfortable with the way that he was living when it wasn't even that bad. I don't understand. Like, he's been like coddled and cradled his whole fucking life, apparently, that he was just born with like a silver spoon in his mouth or some shit. And he could not handle, you know, not being able to have all these fancy new gadgets every time there are new released video games or consoles or out, or phones or whatever. He had to have newest, latest and greatest, or else it was gonna implode his fucking world. He was one of those people. If he couldn't have it, then he felt like he was beneath other people. People like me, basically, because his mom would always say that I was dirty because I was Mexican. I'm half Mexican. I mean, I'm half. I'm not even a whole bean. I'm half a bean, and that's dirty enough. So, you know, there we go. That's how bad it fucking was, you know. But at the same time, I wish I was a whole bean just to see her fucking reaction at this point in time, because she would have really lost her fucking marbles if I was full Mexican. Which the funny part is, I have a funny feeling that he's dating another Mexican girl right now, but I'm not even gonna fucking go into that. But I have a really high intuitive feeling that he actually is, and he's trying to like redeem himself in some sort of way. But whatever, it's not my problem. But I have a funny feeling. We're gonna go on, because this is really about my cat, not him and his shit fucking ways. But I mean, it is a lot of his shit fucking ways, honestly. But at the same time, when I came back, I wanted to holistically take Alia to veterinarians who practiced holistic like medication, herbal formulas to help heal them, because she has bad sinuses. She has kitty asthma. Her health records when we got her were not the best. She had upper respiratory problems. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I've already researched a good amount of ways to try and do this at home. So every time we took a shower, we would bring her into the bathroom to try and like steam her sinuses, her lungs, to try and open up the passageways so she could breathe. So we would do that. That was one thing, and she liked it. She would actually run straight into the bathroom. Like, when she knew one of us was taking a shower, she'd run right in there, and she'd be in there the whole fucking time. Or she'd try to literally peek into the shower, and she'd meow a lot, be like, are you okay? Like, why are you just standing out on the waterfall just drowning yourself? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Who the hell does that? That's crazy. We stayed like that for some point in time. He would go back and forth, borrowing money, overspending the money. At one point, we actually had to get him barred from a casino so he could never go back to that casino, because that was how bad it got. And at that point in time, I'm not gonna give any names of like what his real name is, because I don't need to be doing that. If anything, I could fucking hex the shit out of this person, curse the fuck out of him if I really wanted to. But surprisingly, I haven't. And everything in me really wants to. That decision might change later on, but right now I have refrained from doing that for some reason, even though this would be the best reason ever to hex or curse anybody at this point in time in my life, would be my ex-husband. So last time that I finally left was for my twin flame. As much as you might think that I may have done some shady shit in between that point of time, I actually didn't. I was actually just talking to this person. We're communicating back and forth about, you know, things that we're interested in and whatnot. And both our situations at home were completely toxic. He was with someone who was toxic as fucking controlling. He was just like my karmic, but in a female version. And that's how we met each other. I actually stayed friends with him for about 5 years. And then we dated after that. But that's after we left our karmic situations. We're honorable to the fucking end. We were actually fucking very good people to the end, which some people are not. Sexually, they're always induced to cheat, but we weren't actually those people. We just wanted people who actually gave a fuck about what, you know, what each other's interests are, and we had matching interests, and that was what it came down to. And I felt like this person would have treated me much better than the person that I was with. So I was done. I was over it. I was willing to finally take a chance and make a change for a better life. So I took my fucking chances. And I fucking left. I left. I said, I called in one day and I fucking left. I moved. Both me and him moved all of our shit same day. And I also left Alia, and I left a note to my karmic saying if he can take care of her properly, he can have her. I was fucking crying writing that note. At the same time, I doubted the information that I was writing down. I was like, bitch, you know he can't properly take care of her. He doesn't give her baths. He doesn't comb her fur. He doesn't clean her dishes out. He barely even fucking fills the dishes unless you fucking bitch at him. And when the cats throw up, I had 2 cats, not just one, but one was my familiar because the one, I know we had a bond. Me and her, we had a bond. The long-haired one, we didn't really have that bond. Our connections with soul connections just weren't there, and I could tell it right away. But it doesn't mean I don't like her or disregard her in any sort of way, but she was a healthy cat. Alia, my familiar, Biddy's, she was not a healthy sort of cat. She was one of those ones who was easily to get sick, and she needed extra care that other cats did not need. So she was always that cat that I was hyper concerned about, and I would put my fucking life on the line for. I'm like, whatever, just take me instead. At the same time, when I was writing that note, I knew that his bitch ass would not fucking take care of her. And I was trying so hard to create a level ground to try and leave at this point in time. At this point in time, for him to not try and be like, you know, come back, everything's fine, I'm gonna change. They always say they're gonna fucking change. They're never gonna fucking change. Don't believe that shit. They're not gonna fucking change. If they were gonna change, they would have done it when they fucking got with you and you asked the first fucking time. They would have reassessed that shit. If they have not done it, then they're not fucking changing. That was really fucking dumb. And I wish I would have never fucking said that. So I left that for about, that note linger for about a month after I moved out with my twin flame. And I was talking about it with my twin flame, and he's like, you should go back for her. You should take her back, because you already know deep down he is not going to take care of her. And yeah, he's fucking right. He is right. And I knew I should have taken her in the first place and never fucking looked back and left the other cat with him, because she's healthy. She actually likes him somewhat. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. She's one of those stardust, starseed child sort of kitty cats where she's like, I like everybody. You know, she's kind of like a dog in that sense. Biddy's, you have to earn her trust. Even if she thought she liked you at first, she's one of those cats who will reassess your ass once she starts living with you. And so if anyone's going to call her to be like, hey, Alia, come here, or Biddy's, come here, because Biddy's was her nickname, because she's the smallest one out of the humans. She's tiny. She's a little tiny bitty form. So I'd call her Biddy's. And then every time I say Biddy's or Bits, her little tiny self would run to me. She would surpass him and run to me. That's how she was. She chose me. And I was like, I'm her caretaker. That's it. I'm gonna take care of her the best I can. She trusts me. It was such a bad decision, guys. It really was. As you can tell by my face, I've probably broken down. and cried a few different times out of this video because my face is kind of red because I have. So this is like one of the only things that'll get me to fucking cry my eyes out is talking about my cat. Anything else about my fucking shitty ass life? No. I could talk about that pretty much with a serious face. Maybe one breakdown. They're not, no. My cat I cared about the most. She was my life. She was like my life source. And it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy how you feel like when that little life source is gone. After that one part where I finally left and I moved in with my twin flame, I finally came to the point of my twin flame is right. And I knew I was right from the get-go that he was not going to take care of her. I don't know why I need any sort of reassurance of it, because I did not. I already knew. But for some reason, I was trying to keep some sort of level ground between myself and my karmic relationship that I didn't really need to justify. I didn't need to justify anything. At that point in time, there was nothing really to be afraid of. I lost everything. I lost everything I had. I didn't have anybody. I don't have any family. I have very little friends. And the friends I do have, they need help too. I'm not the only one. At that point in time, I mean, my twin flame is the same way. He doesn't have any family. He doesn't have any fucking friends. Literally, he doesn't. His friends are my friends. We don't have anybody. We have each other, and that is it. We are the family. We are the fucking family. So fucking fathom that. Not having anyone else. The one person that I do have right now currently lives like 3-4 hours away. So if they're gonna be able to help me in any sort of way, it's gonna take a minute to get over here to try and physically help me. It's just crazy to think about. Like, just thoroughly process that through your mind. You have anybody left? Are you alone? If you're alone, you know what it feels like. I've been alone my whole fucking life. Pretty much. So my friends kind of have too. They didn't really have anybody. Everybody I knew had a toxic at-home life. It wasn't stable. So the only person they could actually rely on at the end of the day was themselves. That's what I grew up with. So that's how I still function. I still function like that, even with my partner, because I'm like, if my partner is down and he can't do anything, or, you know, if your partner's down, if he or she can't do anything, what are you going to do? You shouldn't solely rely on your partner to do everything for you. You need to be there for them. You need to know that you can take over those responsibilities at any given time. You should never be like that. They need to know that you can count on them, and vice versa. Back to the point, I took a day off from work, and so did my twin flame, and we went back to the apartment, and I broke into my karmic's apartment and stole my cat. And at this point in time, I still had the key to the apartment, so he was telling me at any time you can, he was trying to win me back. He was telling me at any time, if you need someone to talk to, I'm there for you, and I'm blah, 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 and all that fucking bullshit. Like, they normally try to tell you to try and get you to stay because they don't think they can get anybody else at that point in time. So I kept the key, and I broke in, and I took Alia back because I was like, this is bullshit, and this is the last time I'm gonna fucking leave her behind. I'm taking my fucking cat back. I'm taking my fucking familiar back. So I took her, I took the dish, and as I was looking around the apartment, the whole apartment was just, it was fucking horrible condition. It smelled like rotting garbage. There was trash bags all over the fucking kitchen, the living room, everywhere. This guy hasn't taken the trash out in like weeks, maybe longer than that. Because even when I was with him, he still did not like to take the garbage out, but he did not want me to take the garbage out so other people could not see me. And I was like, this is insane. Who the fuck would say that? I'm trying to take the fucking garbage out to help you. I'm not going outside to have people fucking oogle me. Are you fucking crazy? I just go out there and throw the shit in a fucking dumpster and I come inside. I don't give a shit about that, regardless of what the fuck I'm wearing. It was insane. So when I broke in to take my cat back, this place was a fucking mess. There was mold in her food dish and the other cat's food dish. It was a fucking sad sight. Like, I'm fucking mad as is. If it was his house, fuck man, I might have burned it down at this point in time to just get her back. And I wouldn't have written the note because my dumbass wrote a fucking another note. Like, that was gonna settle the fucking thing, just so you know the cat didn't disappear on its own. When I was here, I took the cat, so no, it's fine. She's in good hands. Just let me take her. Like, that's gonna fucking work. Like, that's gonna fucking work with a narcissist, fucking psychopath, or whatever the fuck, you know? It's not gonna fucking work. So I don't think it's gonna fucking work. When you leave, you need to take that cat or your animal and try to find someone who can take care of that fucking animal until you can get them back. Because when you deal with people like that, or people like I'm talking about, they don't give a fuck. They will literally kill your animal to try and get back at you. I am not kidding, because this is where it's leading, as sad as that sounds. So at this point in time, I took her food dish and I took her kibble, because we had them on 2 different kibbles, because the other cat was able to eat fucking anything. She had an iron stomach. She could do anything with her fucking stomach. So I wasn't that worried about her being with him, even though I saw the mold in the food dish. But I was one of those people who I was like, I saw the dish, so I washed out the dish with soap and water, and I dried it out and I put it back where it was. Because I felt bad. I was like, I don't want you to have to fucking live in that condition, even though I know she actually liked him a lot, which I don't fucking know. She had to have been some sort of little star child, because she was fucking new into this world and she did not know who to trust. And I was like, I feel bad for you, but at the same time, there's only so much I can do for you, because I don't even know how stable I'm going to be in life at this point in time, because I'm moving and I'm not quite sure where I'm going to end up. But luckily, I ended up moving into a new apartment and I just smuggled in my cat. Which you're not supposed to do, obviously, but I smuggled her in because I wanted her there. And I was willing to fucking sacrifice my own comfort to try and keep her. And so that's what I did. So I got her there, and I'll insert some pictures of her when she was there. I'll tell you, when I picked her up, the back end of her tail area had matted fur on it. Like, she wasn't able to groom herself right, or like she wasn't being bathed like she should have been. Because normally I was trying to give her a bath at least once a week. Sometimes it might go on farther than that, maybe like a week and a half, which isn't the best. But once a week, I felt like it kept up very well with their fur and the texture of their fur and how groomable it would have been for them. When I first got her back to my new apartment, I bathed her and we fed her. I washed her dishes out thoroughly, because I know she is one of those kitties who likes to have her own dishes and her own like water glasses to drink out of. There's a certain goblet that I left on my altar that was made out of glass, and it had like a rose design on it that was very, very like feminine, floral, like very cute. And I would keep it close to Bostet's statue. That's one of her favorite, if only became her only area eventually that she drank water out of. She did not care to drink water out of her other dish that was next to the other cat's dish. That was her area, and the other cat did not drink out of that goblet that was on my altar. It was just hers. So Bostet chose her for something that had to have been her goblet. I feel strong that is hers, and it was not anybody else's but hers. So I brought all those things with me because I knew that was hers, and Bostet chose her for a reason. So I brought all her stuff. I brought the kibble, I brought the goblet, I brought the one dish that she eats food out of. And I set all those things up, cleaned them out thoroughly. I cleaned her. I tried to work out some of the mats like on her tail end, try to work some of those out so she can be comfortable, because that's not comfortable having your hair matted up like that. I mean, I know some people like dreadlocks and whatnot, but I'm not one of those people that just to have my, I don't think that would be comfortable. You can't clean yourself thoroughly through the strands. So I'm just trying to think in a cat's perspective, like how would that feel? So I'm like, I'm trying to like break that apart as I'm giving her a bath. And she is very good when I give her baths. She doesn't really meow a lot. She just looks at me and props herself up on the side of the tub, holds onto it, and lets me clean her. She's easy like that. And I try to do it as fast as I can because I know it's uncomfortable for her. So I try to get it done as fast as possible without making her feel too uncomfortable while I'm doing it. So I get that. I connect to her. I try to connect and see what she's seeing on her level. So I got that done quick. I have pictures of her of when she was bathed, and she's like, yeah, I'm not the happiest, but at the same time, I can actually groom myself properly. Like this actually feels good. And at the same time, my twin flame does have a dog, so she was not happy to see a big ass dog when she first moved in, so she avoided her like the plague. And I imagine if we still had her, she would. She's one of those cats who would put you in your place and be like, no, I do not want to be around you. You're not my thing. I just want to be around this one person, so you can fucking sit in that corner and fucking entertain yourself. You're just, it's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. She sets boundaries, and she's not afraid to set boundaries. So yeah, that's what I loved about her, because she reminded me a lot of me, because I only give my love to people I feel like actually deserve it. So especially at this point in time in my life, I don't have time to lose. So if I feel like you deserve my love, I'll give it to you. I will not talk to you for no reason. I will not message you for no reason. I will not hold conversations with you for no fucking reason, unless I feel like you deserve my energy for some sort of reason. Which I know was kind of contradicting, considering because how my ex was. And you're like, bitch, he didn't deserve your energy, so who the fuck does at that point? Do you really have a good judgment of who the fuck deserves it and who the fuck doesn't? Or like, what the fuck is going on now? When I first got with this person, I was really young. Like, really. I was in my teens. I was 16 years old. In some countries, this is not young. This is kind of like older than what you should be when you get married off. But I was 16 when I got this person. This person was like 18 going on 19 when I got with him. Point in time, I didn't give a shit about what the fuck I was doing in my life. I just cared about, you know, making money. Like, what can I do to make money? That's in kind of a sketch way. That was like under the table. Don't worry, it wasn't prostitution. So get that out of your head. That's something I'll never fucking do in my life. So don't even go there. It wasn't anything along those lines, and it never will be. So yeah, get that out of your head, get your mind out of the gutter. But at those times, I just didn't have a clear point of like what I really wanted in life. So I was pretty much a free spirit, if that's what you want to call it. Just kind of going with the flow, kind of just figuring out like what I really want to do at that point in time. Because I know our parents always want us to do a certain something at a certain age of our life, like go to college for this, that, or whatever. And they have a high influence on like what we want to do with our lives. And I didn't fucking care. My dad was like, become a doctor, learn how to do this or that. You know, your cousins are doing this or that. And I'm like, I don't give a shit what the fuck my cousins are doing. I want to do whatever the fuck is the opposite of what they're doing. That doesn't sound good at all. They sound like everybody else. Because I'm one of those people who was like, if you sound like everybody else, I'm not interested. I'm interested in your mind and what that can bring to the table. So, besides the point, I met him when I was really young. I met my ex-husband when I was really young. 16. And at that point in my life, I was not in a very stable point in my life. I was homeless at that time. I made friends to have some place to stay, basically. So I put face on. I was like, fuck it, mask on. Fuck it, mask off when I needed to, you know. I don't like doing that anymore, and it's actually very hard for me to do nowadays. I can't just put a mask on and be like, yeah, everything's fine, and then just take that shit off. It's really hard for me to do nowadays, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm a Capricorn sun, I'm a Scorpio moon, I'm a Taurus rising. So it's really complicated. My Venus is also in Scorpio, so if I'm not passionate about like what I'm applying for to like job wise or whatever the fuck, or if I'm not passionate about anything I'm talking to you about, then I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna put my 2 cents in there. I'm not gonna apply myself the way you think I would. I just don't care. That's just who I am. I'm never gonna change. That is me. Anyways, we can get more into depth of what is me and what is not, but the whole point is to talk about Olia, my cat, my familiar. And once I obtained her and she was actually in my new home, my apartment with my twin flame, my ex found out where we lived and stalked the fucking shit out of us. He was there all day until, I believe, around 6 something, 7 something p.m. to try and get her back. He reported me to the police. I saw him through my window and he was blowing up my phone, texting me crazy ass shit the whole time he was there, stalking outside my apartment and my twin flame's apartment. He stalked us for a long period of time to try and get her back. I don't believe it was necessarily just for the cat, but I'll explain more later. We did live across the street from a pretty big grocery store that is well known, and there are patrol officers that go through the parking lot because there has been a drug dealing issue with that grocery store in particular, but that's nothing new. Welcome to Washington if you live here. It's spreading everywhere. Nowhere is safe anymore. I don't care if you live in Tacoma or Seattle, which are the worst fucking cities to live in this goddamn state. So if you're gonna move here, live on the outskirts, because we're going through a fucking shitty ass recession. It doesn't matter like how much you make anymore. Every year it's going up some, and you're not gonna be able to afford anything. You can't afford to fucking move into a fucking house. You can't afford to live in an apartment. You can't afford to live in a fucking townhome. You can't afford to do anything. You can't even afford to fucking get food. It's getting bad. The homeless people were doing better than us because we have funds for them to live in housing. We have funds for them to get food, to live in these housings. I was homeless for 2 years. I was on these funds. I know how much they get. And now it has risen to a higher amount. It's crazy. Like, we are actually enabling them, but that's another fucking video because that's how I feel about it. I know a lot of you probably don't feel about that the same way I do, but that's how I fucking feel about it. So I'm gonna move on to how I could not keep my kitty. This guy went into the parking lot to the patrol car to try and report me, and I literally saw him talking to this patrol officer through my blinds of my window to try and figure out some sort of way to try and get this cat back and throw me under the bus. And nothing happened. I literally saw the patrol car drive off. He never came back. And once his patrol was over, I never saw him back in the parking lot anyway. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what the fuck you said, but nothing happened at that point in time. And then he came back to sit outside our outskirts of our apartment in the grocery store parking lot where I could see him from our window. And that was that. Eventually, I ended up going out there, which is the saddest fucking part because I fucked up again. I know, fucked up again. Before that, I was searching all day all night to try and figure out a way to keep her that I could win in court, because he was sending me messages that he was going to bring me to court to try and get her back legally. And I was like, no, I'm going to fucking fight you. I don't fucking care. I'm going to keep her. So I started looking up options to try and win in court, because I'm not just going to give her up without doing some sort of research. I'm not going to do this again. I don't want to lose her. So I looked it up. I looked it up for hours, all fucking day. Ever since I stole her back, I was looking shit up all fucking day. Laws, legalities, the black and white, the gray zones of the pets that, you know, you could go to court for, and what other people have went to court for, and all sorts of shit for their animals. And I found out in this state that it is literally black and white. They don't fucking care. It's the saddest shit ever. I found out that since the day we got her and everything was in his name, because I was not working at the time, I was going to school and I wasn't working at the time, and everything was in his name. Like when we bought her, when the pet food was in her name, or if we're ordering off any site that has bills traceable to where we're ordering product for her off of is in his name, or if we're taking her to the vet and it's in his name, he looks like the one who is taking care of her, when that is not true. He's just the one who has the money to take care of her. If you have proof that he cannot take care of her, so if you ever have to leave and the person that you are with is not taking care of your animal the way they should be, document it in photos, video footage, the date that it's happening and how long it's going on for. You need proof if you are not the one who can physically afford to take care of the cat or the animal. Now, if you work for certain companies, they will give you pet insurance. Well, here anyways. I'm not sure about other states because I do not live in any other state besides Washington at this moment, but they will give you money through an insurance policy to take care of your pet, depending on what company you work for. But it's good to have an insurance policy in your name, because that is proof. That is proof that you are taking care of your animal. So if you need to win them over, knowing that you're trying to get out of a toxic relationship, a karmic relationship, that will be something that you can do, that is at least in your name, that you can use against them in court. Don't be like me. I want to try and tell you guys something that you can use so you can keep your familiar, your pet, that soul chunk of your life in your life for as long as possible. So at the end of the day, I broke down and I gave her back to him. Our apartment was one of those security locked apartments, so you needed to have a scan card to get in, and he did not have one, so he would literally have to wait outside until someone came in, but yet he did not know what floor we lived on to get to there anyways. And funny fact, this all happened when COVID hit hard, so a lot of people were at home, but luckily he was one of those people who could work from home and be fine, so he did not have to be at work like the rest of us. The rest of us had to be at work. We did not have the luxury of being at home while this was happening, because I worked in aerospace and we had to manage parts coming through our area that were also used for the military. So we had to be there in person to manage those parts and inspect parts, report against those parts, and see if anything was damaged and yada 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 that were for the military, etc., etc. So we had to be there. We couldn't just, take some photos and send them to each other. Someone had to be there to do that. So if someone had to be there, we're all being there. So they didn't care in that sense. So we were there. And he was one of those lucky people who could actually be home to do his job. So he could literally just fucking hang out all day and see what the fuck you're doing to stalk you, yada yada yada, try and figure out what the fuck your next move is. So that's what happened. And eventually, late at night, I gave in. I gave her back. He was so mad that he literally just ripped her right out of my arms, even though her claws were like sunken into my shirt to try and hold on to me. He was obviously pissed as I was yelling at him because I brought all her shit out there. I brought her kibble. I brought her food dish that I cleaned out. I brought her goblet that I cleaned out. And I was like, she's not going to eat or drink anything if you don't take this with you. And he didn't even fucking care. He didn't listen to anything I had to say. He just later ripped her out of my arms, and she was pushing back from him, looking over his shoulder with her eyes big at me the whole fucking time. Whole fucking time that he walked away with her, she was staring at me like, please help me. That was the moment that I knew I was never gonna see her again. That moment took the cake of one of the worst moments I felt. One of the worst moments I felt in my life. I've had a lot of fucking moments, guys. I have a lot of shit shows I could tell you about that are probably not YouTube friendly to tell you about. This, out of everything, has just irked me in some sort of way that I cannot even explain properly. A lot of you have asked me where she's went. Like, where is she? Where did you bring her with you? Like, where is she? What is she doing? She's no longer on this earth. Highly love to say my karmic has killed her purposely, because he is one of those people who does not believe in holistic remedies to try and heal something, even though those are one of the remedies that have worked for our ancestors the best, even for animals, especially animals. Because a lot of herbs and spices that we ingest, a lot of animals can't. And they know that. It's just a given knowledge. They can sense it just off a sense of smell. He's one of those people who go towards the remedies that create more inflammation, more problems within their bodies. Like, he would constantly go for steroid shots to band-aid her inflammation problems, which you should not do. And there's a lot of times where she was so sick, and he would try to bring her to a veterinarian to inject her with a steroid shot. And she can't even handle it because her immune system is so broken down. Even the veterinarian said this would not be a good idea because it would make her more sick. Because that's what those shots do. Those are not natural. You are not supposed to be doing that to your animals. You're not even supposed to be doing that to yourself. That's not right. And he's one of those people who believes highly in fake medicine. Not real medicine, fake medicine. And he, as much as I would love to say he fucking killed her because of this. Because I'm not there to be like, you shouldn't be doing this, it's fucked up. And I don't want this to be done to her because she's already sick. And I feel like he found someone who was willing to do this to her, who did not have enough knowledge to take care of her in a way that she should have been. He found some sort of veterinarian who was willing to go against the grain to inject her with numerous injections, and I feel like I just broke her down and she couldn't take it anymore. But as much as I would like to say that, I'm not 100% sure. Because the last time I saw her, he said he was going to put her down because she is dying. I didn't take pictures of her dying because I don't want to remember her in that sort of way. But what I saw was a skeleton of what I knew. So the last time I actually got to see her is when she was dying. She was literally skin and bones. She had mucus congested all the way out of her nose. It was encrusted all over her face. Her eyeballs were so swollen that she had like encrusted mucus membranes all over her face. She couldn't even see. Her eyelids were basically almost sealed shut. And she had crust inside her ears. She wasn't able to groom herself at all. Nobody was obviously giving her a bath. And when your sinuses are so infected at that rate, you literally lose yourself. You can't even, your sinuses are infected. It's infecting your brain. Your sinuses run through your brain cavity area. And she was basically history. She was trying to hang on. And he was saying, oh, she can still barely remember who you are if you hold her up to your face. And she'll still try to rub her face on yours. She was so done for that she couldn't. And that, not like I've seen her in a while. Because it was basically roughly a year after I left is when she died. Literally. As soon as I left her and the connection was actually severed, she died. So basically a piece of me died off. I don't know what the fuck happened. How the fuck could that happen so fast? If you're actually trying to look out and take care of something else that you care about, then how the fuck could that have happened so fast? I would have ran or done any surgical procedure possible. I would have opened so many lines of credit to be in debt for the rest of my life. I don't understand. Before that point in time happened, I remember my ex-husband reaching out to me saying he wanted to take her to the vet because she was having some problems. So he asked me to pay for half of the medical bill. And I did, because I love her and I wanted her to get the best she could get. And I was willing to pay whatever the fuck it would take to try and get her the medical stuff that she needed. And that was the last and only medical bill that I paid for. After that, I don't know. I don't know what happened. That was about midway through the year is when I heard about that bill. And then after that, I didn't have anything until the one day he contacted me and said, looks like she's on death's door and she's gonna die, and I'm thinking about putting her down. Do you want to come and see her before I put her down? That was literally the option. Do you want to come see her before I put her down? That's the option. Because either way, I'm gonna kill her. Because she's suffering. And like I said, she's skin and bone. She didn't recognize me, barely. I mean, I don't think so at all, because her memory is gone. Her sinuses were so infected that she didn't know who the fuck it was. She could barely even walk. She was so skinny, she had no muscle mass. Her skin was literally just hanging off of her bone. She could barely see where she was fucking walking. She could barely get to her dish of food that I told him specifically not to feed her because she's allergic to it. And I found out she is allergic to it. Because every time we fed it to her, Fancy Feast is the company. Do not feed your fucking cat Fancy Feast. That is not a good company. If you want to feed them a fucking treat here and there once in a blue moon, then and they can handle it, sure. But you probably shouldn't. You should feed them something that's like homemade that you can make for your cat. That's the best way to go. I mean, even as feeding yourself, it should be homemade and something that you can actually handle and process thoroughly. Not some artificial preservative something company. You shouldn't be feeding that shit to your cats if you're not even gonna feed it to yourself. That's fucked up. So I knew she was allergic to Fancy Feast. My best friend knew she was allergic to Fancy Feast too. The only person who didn't give a fuck was my ex-husband. And he fed her that shit regardless of anything I said. And he was like, that's just fine. And he would put it in her food dish. She would throw it up all over the fucking place. She'd be sick for the next 2 or 3 days because she ate that shit. And it was fucked up. And that's how it went. Regardless of what I said, that's what he did. And so when I saw her that last time before she died, the last thing his dumbass fed her was a can of Fancy Feast that they got at the fucking Costco. And he eventually moved back into his parents' place because he was trying to help his dad. So he brought the cat back over there with all these other cats that his parents had. And my familiar did not like being around other cats. She barely tolerated the other one that we were around. She would avoid her and she would lay around in her area, but she's not one to approach her to fucking snuggle and all that shit. She does not care. She likes being with her human, and that's it. So he fed her fucking Fancy Feast right in front of my face and said, oh, she's actually eating a little bit of something today. Like she was licking the fucking little bits of fucking gravy that was in the dish. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're killing her by giving her stuff that she's allergic to. You don't know how bad I wanted to fucking kill him right then and there. Obviously, I did not end his life in his own goddamn fucking home. Even though everything in me wanted to. It still does. We went to the vet. We saw her get put down. They both cried like a little bitch. And right then and there, when I saw the needle go in her, I wish I could have grabbed it and stuck it in his fucking neck. But I didn't. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't say shit like this on YouTube. Because they'll probably get monetized. It's the fucking truth. Anyone who wants to deny these feelings are fucking hypocrites. I am not a hypocrite, and I will tell you the truth of how I feel. Because any other human would have the same feelings. It's the fucking truth. We're human. We experience all these fucking feelings, these thoughts, everything. But do we always act on them? No. We don't. Even in witchcraft. Because obviously, like I said before, I didn't hex or curse him yet. But if I ever felt like I really fucking need to, I will. I will fucking hex him or curse him if I need to. If that's the relief I need, then that's the relief I'm going to get through my magic. I've already done a cord cutting. Far that's good enough. But as I'm bringing up these thoughts, it fucking hurts. And yeah, it makes me want to do some unsavory things to him. I'm not gonna say it doesn't. It fucking hurts. It hurts really fucking bad. And I feel sorry for whoever the next person he gets with, who he can trick into manipulating them into a certain mind state to see him a certain way that he is not. He is fake. He is fake as fuck. And he will make you perceive him a certain way. And if you are dumb enough to fall underneath that influence, then you deserve to know him. If you're not, then you'll know me. But then again, I'm not going to say I'm fucking magical. I'm not a magical human being to fucking know. But at least I'm fucking truthful and I'm honest. So take your fucking pick. So that was the last day that I saw my familiar. I cried my fucking eyes out. He chose to cremate her body. And everything in me would have kept her ashes. I would have never scattered her ashes. I would have kept her ashes with me. Because I am one of those people who would have used her ashes for the greater good. Besides the fact of setting her free. But then again, using someone's ashes or something's ashes in a spell work is calling forth their energy. It gives you a purpose to live in that area for a period of time to help that person or whoever is drawing forth your energy. And I feel like she would have enjoyed that. And then I would have sprinkled just a little bit of her ashes in an area I felt like she would have loved. I would not have gotten rid of the whole thing like he wanted to do. So he got her ashes cremated, and he got to keep all of her ashes, and he scattered them in some sort of natural area in the mountains, wooded area, and that was it. I never got to keep any little piece of her. She died with him. I'm making this video because I want you guys to know what happened. And at the same time, if you are this connected to any of your familiars, your pets, regardless of, you know, what kind of creature they are, species they are, if you are that connected, take advantage of that connection, bring them with you, put them in someone else's hands who can at least take care of them. Try any outlet you can. Don't wait as long as I did to hope that a circumstance would arise that you could actually get them back. Make actions as soon as possible. I know trying to leave your ex is hard, especially if they're abusive mentally or physically or both. That is the shittiest shit you can possibly be in. Or at least one of them. I mean, things can get shittier, as horrible as that sounds, but they can. I've heard stories that are worse than mine. So I can't even say mine's is the worst, but it does create some emotional, mental, and soul-related trauma that is really hard for me to overcome. And I love my familiar, and I will never stop loving her. I feel her wherever I go. Even the days that right after she died and her energy left her body, her soul left her body, I felt her. I felt what was ever left of her come into my life for the next few days. It literally was 3 days. It took 3 days of her energy. Anything electricity based, she fucked with my electricity. I was like, I'm gonna try and straighten my hair. I was trying to do anything to try and like, trying to deflect my pain that I was feeling from her. Because I know when she died, she was hurting. But she was trying to eat to live. Like, usually when they're trying to eat to live it means they haven't given up yet. So I feel like he tried to kill her too soon. That's what I feel. He tried to literally kill her too soon just to get back at me. And then literally right after we came out of the veterinarian place, he told me, hey, if you want to remain friends, you know, that's fine with me. That's fucking crazy. You just killed everything I fucking cared about. Why the fuck would I want to remain friends with you? I wish you were fucking dead. You deserve to die. And then, of course, I think about this onto myself a lot of days. Because I should have taken her when I first left. I shouldn't have waited. I should have never given her back. Like, he probably would have never even fought for her that hard if I took her and never gave her back. That's where I fucked up. And I always think about that. I should have never given her up. I would have won just by standing my ground. Stand your fucking ground, guys. Don't be afraid. That's what they want. Do not be afraid. You do whatever it fucking takes to get what you want, because that is exactly what they are doing. They are manipulating you. You do whatever it takes, and you will win. That is the story of what happened to my familiar. And every Samhain, Dia de los Muertos, I do a ritual for her. I write her a petition. I put corresponding herbs that I feel like will reach to her and that she would like. And I burn them and release them to her, to wherever she is, so she can get them. And that's the least that I can do to let her know that I care about her. To let her know that I wish I could have done things differently. To let her know that her soul contract to me was not in vain. Her suffering was not in vain. And I respect everything that she brought to me in this life. She was the best companion I could have ever asked for, especially in my life. My life was not a sweet life, guys. It was not. I do not make these videos because I have an advantage to. I make these videos because I feel like they can resonate and teach people things. This shit is free. I do not have a Patreon, or at least not yet. And that is okay, because I don't want to have enough viewers yet for it. But I feel like authenticity is a key. And a lot of YouTubers do not have it. And they will not give it out because it'll be monetized. As YouTube wants you to fit a mold. Sadly. But a mold is not real. And I am. So you're gonna have to take it or leave it. And this is my experience in an abusive relationship that I hope none of you guys have to actually go through. But if you do, please try to learn and grow from what I have told you. Don't leave your familiars behind if you can. You will forever regret it. Thank you for listening, guys. And I'm working on getting more content up that you guys can get to know me on personally. If you have any questions or anything, or any videos that you would like to see, please comment below or email me if you do not want everyone to see them. And I will make future videos upon that content. Until next time, I will see all you lovely little brujitas later.